told her about the lobby scene, and mentioned the time Chloe showed up at my office. She said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not." At my apartment. The officer printed out more forms and had me sign them while explaining the next steps. She said my case was actually pretty strong compared to most she sees. After that, every notification on my phone made my heart race. Unknown numbers calling sent me into panic mode. Random knocks on my door had me hiding in my bedroom. Maya started sleeping on my couch because I kept having nightmares about Chloe breaking in. My therapist said something about PTSD from friendship trauma being real and valid. She prescribed me anxiety meds and suggested I change my locks. 2 months after the brunch, I got the official paper saying the restraining order was approved. Chloe had to stay 500 feet away and couldn't contact me through other people either. Within hours, I was posting on Instagram about false accusations and legal harassment. Lauren sent me screenshots showing Chloe's follower count dropping by the hundreds every day. Her sorority sisters were unfollowing her, and even some family members were going quiet. I started going to the support group that met in a church basement on Wednesdays. There were people there who'd been abused by romantic partners, family members, and even friends like me. The facilitator kept talking about power and control being the real issue, not the type of relationship. Hearing other people's stories made me realize how common this stuff actually was. Then Emma, Brad's ex-girlfriend, posted this TikTok that completely blew up. 2 million views in 2 days of her explaining everything Chloe said about her relationship. I was shocked. 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 I was so is. Sag Frederick. Once more. Let's talk about the times. Every private thought was potentially recorded somewhere. Mrs. Healer texted me again saying she needed to talk and she was so sorry about everything. Shed started therapy to understand how Shed missed all the warning signs about her daughter. She kept saying Shed enabled Chloe by always making excuses and giving her money. Shed even joined some support group for parents of kids with personality disorders. 10 weeks after the brunch, I was at Maya's place making tacos when I realized I hadn't checked Chloe's Instagram in 3 whole days. Sophie noticed me actually laughing at something stupid on TV instead of doom-scrolling my phone. My therapist had been telling me recovery wasn't a straight line. But this felt like real progress, even if it only lasted that one afternoon. Ashley reached out through Facebook saying she and Emma wanted to meet up with all of us about Chloe stuff. We gathered at Maya's apartment the next Saturday. 7 women total had all been friends with Chloe at different times. Ashley told us about her freshman year roommate experience with Chloe. How Shed started out being her best friend, then slowly got isolated from everyone else. Emma talked about dating Brad after Chloe and finding out all these lies Chloe had told him about her. Each story followed the same pattern of love bombing at first, then getting cut off from other friends, then constant criticism, then being dropped when they stopped being useful. We weren't victims though. We decided right there in Maya's living room, we were survivors had gotten out. Later that week, I was cleaning out my phone photos when I found hundreds from when Chloe and I first became friends. Her smile looked different in those old pictures. More calculated than warm, like she was always performing instead of actually being happy. The memories felt contaminated now, like finding out your favorite childhood movie was made by someone terrible. I was at work when my coworker knocked on my door, holding a thick envelope that someone had left at reception for me. The return address was some girl from high school I barely remembered. But inside was 10 pages of Chloe's handwriting. She wrote that she was sorry I misunderstood her love, that she only wanted to help me improve, that ID destroyed her life over petty jealousy. I drove straight to the police station and filed a report for violating the restraining order. Chloe's handwriting showing up through a high school acquaintance, like some kind of friendship horror movie plot twist. The restraining order says 500 feet, not 500 creative loopholes through random messengers. From 10th grade chemistry class. The detective said using a third party to deliver messages still counted as contact. 3 months after the brunch, I got a call from the county prosecutor's office saying they were charging Chloe with harassment and restraining order violation. It was just a misdemeanor, but at least it was something official. She'd have to appear in court. And everything was finally on record. Sophie, Maya, Jess, and I started having dinner every Wednesday at someone's apartment, calling them our healing hangs. We had one rule that nobody talked about Chloe, unless someone really needed to vent about something specific. We cooked together, watched trashy reality shows, and I started learning what actual supportive friendship looked like without constant criticism. Lauren called me freaking out because she'd found something on Chloe's old laptop that she'd left at their apartment. It was a Google Doc titled Insurance, with dirt on literally everyone Chloe knew, organized by how useful they were to her. My section was 3 pages long, with notes like weight fluctuates so. Insecure about it, daddy issues make her need validation, people please are so easy to manipulate. Lauren sent screenshots to everyone mentioned in the document. I went on my first date since everything happened. Just coffee with a guy from my gym. He complimented my dress, and I spent 10 minutes analyzing whether it was genuine or love bombing. Maya had to remind me that normal people give compliments without ulterior motives, and that Chloe had trained me to distrust my own judgment. For months after the brunch, the court date finally arrived. Chloe showed up in this conservative suit, trying to look like a victim, while her lawyer argued I'd orchestrated a harassment campaign against her. My lawyer presented all the evidence, including the letter she'd sent through the third party, and the recordings of her calling me repeatedly. The judge kept interrupting Chloe's lawyer to ask for actual evidence of harassment from my side. During the recess, I went to the bathroom, and Chloe followed me in, even though her lawyer had specifically told her not to approach me. She cornered me by the sink, saying I'd ruined everything. Her mom, her friends, her reputation. All because she told me the truth about that dress. Her mask had completely dropped, and she looked actually unhinged. So I started recording on my phone, while she kept ranting about how I was jealous and pathetic. She was still going when the bailiff knocked on the door, saying court was back in session, and I quickly stopped recording and slipped my phone into my pocket, while Chloe fixed her makeup like nothing happened. Back in the courtroom, my lawyer asked if I was okay, and I just nodded, but then pulled out my phone and showed her the recording, and her eyes went wide. She immediately asked to approach the bench and played it for the judge, while Chloe's lawyer objected, saying it wasn't admissible. But the judge cut him off, saying we were in a one-party consent state. The judge's face got harder and harder as she listened, and when it finished, she looked straight at Chloe and said, "Miss Healer, you were explicitly told not to approach the plaintiff." Chloe tried to explain that ID followed her into the bathroom, but the recording clearly showed her voice getting closer to me, not the other way around. And she just kept digging herself deeper, saying ID provoked her by showing up to court. The judge ruled right there, extending the restraining order to 2 years, with criminal penalties if violated, plus 40 hours of community service, and mandatory therapy for Chloe, who stormed out, while her lawyer stayed behind, apologizing to mine, saying he didn't know what he was dealing with. The victory felt empty though, because even winning legally didn't fix what was broken inside me, and I could still feel Chloe's influence in every moment of self-doubt, and every time I looked in the mirror. My therapist kept saying, healing isn't about forgetting, it's about reclaiming your narrative. But that felt impossible when Chloe had rewritten my entire sense of self for years. 5 months after the brunch, Mrs. Healer sent me a handwritten letter saying she'd been going to therapy and CODA meetings, learning about enabling, and how she'd failed both of us by teaching Chloe that image matters more than integrity. The survivor support group we'd started created a private Facebook page, and more women kept joining with stories about Chloe going back to high school, showing this pattern had been happening for over a decade. Ashley found Chloe on TikTok under a fake name, calling herself a survivor of mean girl bullying and giving advice about toxic friendships, literally making money off being the victim of her own behavior. I wrote Chloe a letter. ID never send. Just pages of anger and hurt, saying things like, "You made me hate myself, so you could feel superior. And my therapist had me burn it." In a ceremony with Maya and Sophie, watching the smoke rise and feeling something release. 6 months after the brunch, my life had new rhythms, with Saturday brunches with real friends, and therapy on Wednesdays, and support group on Thursdays, rebuilding from scratch, but on a solid foundation this time. Lauren discovered Chloe had moved to Dallas, telling people she was escaping stalkers from Austin, and had already found a new friend group, posting about finding her tribe and leaving toxicity behind, starting the whole cycle over with new victims. Then one of Chloe's new Dallas friends messaged me after finding the viral TikTok, asking if this was about Chloe Healer, because she was her new roommate, and something felt off. And I sat there, staring at the message, not knowing if I should warn her and risk looking like the stalker Chloe described, or stay quiet and let another woman go through what I did. My hand shook as I typed and deleted 10 different responses before finally calling my therapist for an emergency session. She listened to me explain the situation while I paced around my apartment, then suggested I talk to my lawyer before responding to anyone. The lawyer's advice was simple but frustrating. I could only share facts, without details, nothing that could be seen as harassment or defamation. After 3 hours of drafting, I sent back a careful message, saying I couldn't discuss specifics for legal reasons, but to trust her gut if something felt wrong. The Dallas friend replied within minutes, saying Chloe had already started telling her she looked fat in certain outfits, but it was just tough love. My stomach dropped reading those words, because I recognized the exact pattern, starting all over again. That night I couldn't sleep, realizing this would be my life now, watching Chloe find new victims from far away, legally unable to warn them properly, seeing the same cycle repeat while I stayed silent. It was like being forced to watch someone drown while your hands were tied behind your back. 7 months after the birthday brunch, my therapist introduced something called EMDR therapy for processing the trauma. I sat in her office, following a light bar, back and forth with my eyes, while thinking about specific memories with Chloe. It sounded completely ridiculous, but after 3 sessions, something shifted inside my brain. The memory was still there, but they didn't make my heart race. They became just facts, like remembering what I had for breakfast last week instead of reliving a nightmare. The Dallas friend texted me again 2 weeks later with photos attached. Chloe was wearing her clothes without asking, had dyed her hair the same color, and started using the same Instagram filters. The message said Chloe kept calling them twins, but it felt creepy and wrong. I could see the pattern speeding up. Probably because Chloe was desperate to rebuild her perfect image after losing everything in Austin. 3 days later, my phone rang at 2 a.m. and Mrs. Healer's name appeared on the screen. She was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her words at first. Chloe had been arrested in Dallas for credit card fraud after stealing her new roommate's information to buy $8,000 worth of designer clothes. Mrs. Healer kept repeating that she didn't know how to help her daughter anymore, then said something that made my blood run cold. She thought her daughter might be a sociopath. The word hanging between us like a confession she'd been holding back for years. The arrest made the local Dallas news the next morning with Chloe's mugshot plastered across the screen. Her eyes looked completely dead in the photo, no trace of the charming friend who used to make everyone laugh. The news article's comment section exploded with other people sharing their own stories about her. Former coworkers, old roommates, people from college, all describing the story of Chloe's death. Without Instagram filters and perfect lighting, she couldn't hide what she really was anymore. Watching Mrs. Healer's Facebook posts about visiting her daughter in jail broke something in me. This woman had lost her child to a personality disorder, watching her become a stranger who hurt everyone she touched. My mom called after seeing the news coverage, telling me how glad she was that I got away when I did. I agreed, but it felt more complicated than that, like surviving a car crash, but still feeling the impact forever. 8 months after the birthday brunch, the support group surprised me with a Freedom Anniversary party at Emma's apartment. She'd made a cake with blue frosting that said Survivor across the top, reclaiming the color from that dress. Everyone shared stories about their own toxic friendship anniversaries, while we ate too much cake and laughed about things that used to make us cry. It felt like both yesterday and a lifetime ago that I'd worn that blue dress to brunch. The Dallas roommate who Chloe stole from joined our Facebook Survivor group the following week with screenshots of their text conversations. Dallas really said, "New city, who dis?" But Chloe packed her whole playbook of manipulation in the moving truck. Credit card fraud is definitely taking borrowing your friend's style to criminal levels. Her story matched ours beat for beat, but compressed into just 2 months instead of years. Ashley pointed out that Chloe was getting sloppy because she had to go to work. Ashley pointed out that Chloe was getting sloppy because she had to go to work. Ashley pointed out that Chloe was getting sloppy because she had to go to work. Ashley pointed out that Chloe was getting sloppy because she had to go to work. Ashley pointed out that Chloe was getting sloppy because she had to go to work. Moving through her abuse cycle faster and making bigger mistakes. We helped the roommate file police reports and connected her with the detective handling the fraud case. Then a local Austin journalist found the viral TikTok about the blue dress incident and started connecting dots between all of Chloe's victims. She reached out wanting interviews for a story about toxic friendships and pattern abuse. My lawyer said to be careful, but Emma decided to go on record with her full name and story. 3 days later, the article went live with the headline, "The Toxic Friend Next Door, a Pattern of Abuse," and included details from 5 different victims. 9 months after that crazy brunch, I was sitting at my desk when my phone buzzed, with an email from a law firm. Chloe's lawyer wanted to meet about making a deal where if we stopped talking about what happened, she'd promised to stay away forever. I forwarded it to my lawyer, who actually laughed out loud when she called me back. She reminded me that Chloe was facing fraud charges. Plus, she'd violated 3 different restraining orders already, so she had zero leverage to negotiate anything. I realized while we were talking that I hadn't even thought about checking Chloe's social media in over 2 weeks, which was huge for me since I used to check it every single day. Maya noticed it too when we were at lunch. And someone mentioned Chloe's name, and I didn't even flinch or tense up like I used to. The weird part was the dreams I kept having about her. Not scary ones, but just normal dreams where we were friends again, eating brunch and laughing like nothing bad ever happened. I'd wake up confused and sad about losing a friendship that never really existed in the first place. My therapist said this was totally normal and part of processing the grief of losing what I thought the friendship was. Then the court date for the fraud trial got scheduled. And Emma said she was ready to testify about everything Chloe did with the money and fake documents. Part of me felt satisfied that she was finally facing consequences. But another part felt sad watching someone I once loved destroy their whole life. Sophie kept reminding me that every single choice was Chloe's, and she did this to herself. 2 weeks later, Chloe posted a picture of her and her boyfriend, and immediately started creating fake Instagram accounts to message witnesses and tell them not to testify. The police arrested her again within 3 days. And this time her lawyer actually withdrew from the case, saying she was impossible to work with. Even her parents stopped posting bail after that, which showed how bad things had gotten. Around that same time, I got promoted to senior analyst at work, a position I never would have gone for when Chloe was in. My life telling me I wasn't ready and would embarrass myself if I tried. My boss pulled me aside and said my confidence had completely transformed over the past few months, and I was finally showing my real potential. Dating started getting easier too once I stopped hearing Chloe's voice in my head, criticizing every guy I met. I went on a date with this guy from my gym, who actually celebrated when I told him about my promotion instead of making it about himself. When I told him the whole Chloe story, he just said she sounded jealous of me, which was such a simple truth I couldn't see before. The support group we started had grown to 30 women across Texas, who'd all dealt with similar toxic friendships, and we met every week to share stories and resources. We helped each other recognize red flags and celebrate milestones like going a month without checking our toxic friends' social media or setting boundaries with new friends. Out of all the destruction Chloe caused, something really beautiful grew from women supporting each other through healing. Mrs. Healer asked if she could join our group, and with everyone's blessing, she started coming to meetings. She shared what it was like as a parent watching your kid hurt people and not knowing how to stop it, the guilt of maybe enabling it by always bailing her out. Other parents started reaching out to her after that, and she became this advocate for early intervention when kids show signs of personality disorders. Then 11 months after the brunch, Chloe's trial finally started. She decided to represent herself, which was absolutely wild, and claimed we were all part of some conspiracy against her because we were jealous of her success. The prosecutor presented evidence from 7 different victims, including bank records, fake documents, and screenshots of her harassment. Her whole defense was basically that we were all lying, because we couldn't handle how amazing her life was compared to ours. The jury took less than 2 hours to deliberate, which the prosecutor said was really fast for a fraud case. When they read the verdict, my hands were shaking so bad I couldn't even hold my phone steady to text the group chat guilty on all 7 counts of fraud, 2 counts of identity theft, 3 counts of harassment, and 1 count of extortion. The judge gave her 18 months in minimum security plus mandatory psychiatric treatment and 5 years probation with a no contact order for all of us. Chloe stood up so fast, her chair fell over and started screaming that we were all jealous liars and shed appeal, and her dad would sue everyone. But the bailiffs were already moving toward her. Her mom was crying in the back row while her dad kept shaking his head and wouldn't even look at her as they let her out in handcuffs, still yelling about how it ruined her life. My chest felt hollow watching her go, not happy or sad, just empty, like when you finally throw out something broken you'd been keeping for too long. Maya organized what she called a justice brunch 2 weeks later at the same restaurant where everything started, and made us all wear our blue dresses again. But this time it felt different, like we'd taken the dress back from being part of that awful memory. The restaurant staff recognized us, and the manager comped our mimosas and said she'd heard what happened and was proud of us for standing up to her. After that, everything got weird. Quiet, with no crisis texts to answer or emergency therapy sessions or lawyer meetings or police statements to give. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. expecting my phone to be blowing up with some new drama. But it was just silent and dark and peaceful, which somehow felt wrong. After months of chaos, my therapist said this was normal, that I'd gotten so used to living in crisis mode that calm felt Threatening like waiting for the other shoe to drop, I started going to the gym again and reading books and watching shows without constantly checking my phone for disaster updates. The survivor support group kept meeting every week, and we started planning something bigger, a whole conference about recognizing and recovering from female narcissistic abuse, since nobody really talks about how women can be predators too. Almost a year after the original brunch, Emma suggested we do it on the anniversary as a way to reclaim that date and turn it into something positive. Ashley had connections at the university and got us a lecture hall for free, while I worked on finding speakers and setting up registration. We called it When She's the Villain, and within 2 weeks we had over 100 people signed up. That's when this documentary filmmaker reached out through the conference email, saying she'd been following our story online and wanted to film everything for a project about female friendship abuse. She sent examples of her other work about domestic violence and workplace harassment. And it was not exploitative or sensationalized, just honest storytelling. The group voted and everyone agreed we should do it because maybe our story could help other people recognize the signs before it got as bad as ours did. Going through all the evidence again for the documentary was different this time because I could see the pattern so clearly. How she'd isolated each of us and made us dependent on her approval and turned us against each other. The filmmaker had us lay out all the screenshots and recordings and photos in chronological order, and it looked exactly like what my therapist called a predator's playbook. Not some friendship that went wrong, but deliberate manipulation from day one. I didn't cry once during the filming, even when we got to the worst parts, because I finally understood it was never about me being not good enough. It was about her needing to break people down to feel powerful. My therapy sessions had been twice a week for almost a year, but my therapist said I was ready to go down to once a month because I finally stopped hearing Chloe's voice in my head criticizing everything I did, instead of automatically thinking I was too fat or too boring or too whatever. I started actually trusting my own judgment about myself and making decisions without worrying what she would have said. The conference ended up being way bigger than we expected, with 200 people showing up and local news covering it, and women coming up to us all day with their own stories about toxic friends who'd destroyed their self-esteem. One woman drove 3 hours just to thank us for speaking up because she'd been in an abusive friendship for 10 years, and our story gave her the courage to finally cut contact. About 13 months after everything started, my lawyer forwarded me a letter from Chloe's lawyer saying she wanted to apologize and had made real breakthroughs in therapy and understood how much she'd hurt us. My lawyer and therapist both said not to respond because narcissists use apologies as ways to pull you back in and test whether they still have power over you. I threw the letter away without reading past the first line and didn't even tell the others about it because we'd all moved on and didn't need her fake remorse. Chloe's lawyer literally laughed at. That's like trying to trade Monopoly money for real cash after you've been caught printing it in your basement. The math just doesn't work when you've broken that many laws. The documentary came out 6 months later on Netflix, and within the first week it had 3 million views and was trending in 12 countries. My inbox exploded with messages from survivors all over the world, sharing their stories, and therapists asking if they could use it in their practice, and parents saying it helped them recognize warning signs in their kids' friendships. 3 weeks later, I was checking emails when I saw one from the California Department of Corrections with a subject line about Chloe. My hands shook opening it because the prison therapist had reached out to me and checked out through proper legal channels, saying Chloe had been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder with antisocial features during her mandatory psych evaluation reading. The clinical terms felt weird because there was finally a name for what she was, but the therapist's note at the bottom hit harder, saying There's no real cure for this and shall probably always be this way. I printed it out and filed it with all the other documents from the case, then closed my laptop and sat there for a while just processing that some people are just broken too. Months after that, I was backstage at the Social Impact Documentary Awards adjusting my mic pack when Emma grabbed my hand and Ashley fixed my hair one last time before we walked out together. The announcer called our documentary's name, and suddenly I was standing at the podium looking out at hundreds of people while Emma held the award and Ashley squeezed my shoulder, and I realized we'd turned all that pain into something that actually helped people. The trophy was heavy in my hands when we posed for photos afterward, and reporters kept asking how it felt to transform trauma into purpose, but all I could think was how Chloe tried to destroy us, but made us stronger instead. University started calling after that, wanting me to speak about recognizing toxic friendships. So I started traveling to campuses every few weeks, standing in lecture halls full of young women who'd lean forward when I described the warning signs. After each talk, I was told that I was going to be a part of a group of Black girls who'd come up with tears in their eyes, saying they had their own Chloes and asking how to get out. And every time I helped one, it felt like taking back a piece of the power she stole from me. My voice stopped shaking after the 10th speech, and by the 20th, I could tell the story without my heart racing. Then one morning, I found a letter from Mrs. Healer in my mailbox with Texas postmark, and my stomach dropped, but I opened it anyway. She wrote that Chloe would be released in 6 months, but the court ordered her to stay in California for 5 years of probation, so she wouldn't be coming back to Texas. And then she wrote something that made me cry, saying she loved her daughter but couldn't enable her anymore, and thanking me for showing her the truth. I kept that letter in my desk drawer and looked at it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going. I kept that letter in my desk drawer and looked at it sometimes when I doubted whether speaking up had been worth it. Time kept moving, and 18 months after the brunch, my life had found its rhythm, with weekly dinners with Sophie and Maya and Jess at our favorite Thai place, and monthly support group meetings at the community center, and quarterly speaking engagements at conferences. The blue dress hung in my closet behind my work clothes, and sometimes I'd see it when I was getting ready, but it was just fabric now, not some symbol of everything that happened. I met someone at a bookstore 6 months ago when we both reached for the same memoir, and he already knew my story because had seen the documentary, but he asked me out anyway on our 3rd date. When I apologized for taking too long to order, he touched my hand gently and said that was Chloe's voice, not mine, and I needed to learn the difference. He was right, and I started catching myself more often recognizing when I was repeating her criticisms versus my own thoughts. The survivor support group kept growing, and soon we had chapters in 12 cities with volunteer coordinators running local meetings, and the Facebook group hit 5,000 members, all sharing their stories and helping each other heal. What started as 6 girls in blue dresses had become this whole movement of people refusing to accept emotional abuse from people who claim to love them. Messages came in every day, but one morning I got one that made me stop everything to read at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. A girl in Ohio wrote that her best friend had been treating her exactly like Chloe treated me, making her feel small and wrong and broken, but she recognized the pattern from the documentary and got out before it destroyed her, saying I saved her years of abuse. Those messages made all the hate mail and threats during the trial worth it, because even if I just helped one person recognize the signs, it mattered. 2 years after the brunch came around quietly without fanfare or drama, just dinner at Maya's apartment with Sophie and Jess, and good wine and Thai takeout. We raised our glasses, and Maya said we should toast to recognizing our worth, and we all clinked. And I realized these were my real friends, the ones who showed up and stayed last week. I was at the mall looking for a dress for my cousin's wedding, going through racks of pastels when I saw it hanging there. Like a ghost from the past, a blue midi dress with a cutout back, almost exactly like the one that started everything, and my first instinct was to walk away, but something made me take it off the rack. The dressing room mirror showed me standing there in that blue dress, but this time I saw what I actually looked like, not what Chloe trained me to see. I looked beautiful because I always had been beautiful, even when she convinced me otherwise. And her voice that used to live in my head telling me I was too much or not enough was completely gone. Standing there, I heard my own voice for the first time in years saying, "You look perfect exactly as you are," and meaning it. I bought the dress. All right, time to wrap this one up. Appreciate